Hi stock investors, JJ here. Welcome back. Well, tech stocks, big tech, and especially chip stocks were hammered today in the market. What's going on? I'm going to talk more about that and this possible rotation to small caps, mid caps, and value stocks. Whatever value stocks means, we'll talk about that a little bit too. But as you can see, we can see the big technology stocks really hammered today. Nvidia was down 6.62%. We're not used to seeing that. Even these big solid stocks, Google, Meta down over 5%, Amazon down over 2%, Tesla going back down again. And we can see here what actually happened. The indices here, if we separate those out, this S&P 500 was down nearly 1.5%. The Dow was up. The Nasdaq was down 2.77, so the worst. And the Russell 2000, talking about this rotation to small caps, that's a small cap index, of course, and it was only down just over 1, so doing relatively well. Things don't go up in a straight line, and we've seen some really good gains in the Russell 2000 over the past week or more. And here are those big stocks here. We can see Nvidia was down over 6% as we see, and all of those down significantly. And the S&P 500 now for the year is up 17.83%, which in any year is a fantastic year. So not being harmed too much yet, but as we can see there, just starting to go down. Will it continue? We don't know. We can't predict. But the Nasdaq, if we look at that, it's up 21.88% now, which again is a really good year for any index. But there, again, we can see starting to go down there at the end. And we can see that Nasdaq is actually down 3.49% just since the 10th of July there. So really starting to have a few down days there. And if we turn to the Russell, we can see that it's up now 11.27%, which it's still above the market average for the S&P 500 benchmark over the long term. And we can see it's just taken a small dive there today, as we saw in that figure before. And also it's up 10.76% over the last month. So most of the gains for the year just becoming since then. So it's really having a good run. Is this a more permanent rotation to that? We're going to get into that in a minute. And as we can see here, this is the Acquirers Fund. So if you do watch Value After Hours, Toby Carlisle on there, this is his ETF. He runs that, and we can see that year to date it's now up 11.97%. So this is ZIG, which isn't completely small cap, so it is definitely value, very deep value he is orientated towards, and so we can see that it's had a good run since then. He'll be happy about that, over 9% up. And his deep, he also runs this, which is 10.9% up just in that run. So definitely following what's happening in the Russell 2000 there, and now 8.88, which is below the S&P 500, but definitely having a good run there, which shows that it's small cap. This is small caps and value together. So it's having a good run there. Will it continue? He'll be hoping so. All right. Now we're going to get to some talk on this, what's going on here. This is small mid cap yield. Is there rotation going on? Now, I've done previous videos to this. This is the kind of theme that I'm going on at the moment. I'm heavily involved in small caps myself. My small cap portfolio, 8 stocks, and just together, I've got another portfolio which rounds out the whole lot, 14 altogether. And there's 8 in this portfolio. It's up over 20%, so matching the S&P 500 so far. So if small caps do go on a good run, I'll be pretty happy about it if it adds to those gains so far. But let's see what they've got to say here, and I'll react to it.
Rotation story may finally have some legs. Tech is lagging again today, while value and small caps are suddenly leading the market. What's going on, and is the money actually following the indices? Let's talk with Anna Paglia, Executive Vice President and Chief Business Officer for State Street Global Advisors. Anna's in charge of State Street's ETF index and 401k business. Also joining us, ETF journalist and financial futurist, my old friend Dave Noddick.
So just before we get into this, she can see the flow of money. She can see what's happening where, in terms of a market rotation, she can see where the money's going because of what she does.
Here at the New York Stock Exchange. Anna, you're a big shot now. She is. I've known her for a long time. She's got a great new job. You run the S&P 500 index business. They report to you, all those ETFs. Is this rotation real? Is there actually money following some of these moves in small caps?
Well, first of all, I've always been a big shot.
Okay.
So thank you.
Fair enough.
I love that. Put me in my place pretty fast there. All right.
And yes, the money is following the trend. In the last 5 days, we have seen a huge uptick into our sector ETFs. Tilt with small cap, financials, home builders, so the money is following the trend for sure.
You see that? Did you catch that? She said the money is following the trend into small caps and in other sectors. She mentioned home builders there, so maybe out of this big tech, money flowing out into these small caps. Will it continue? We'll have to see.
It seems that way. And so we're talking not just about small caps, but other things too. So we've been looking at value stocks. We all know value's been underperforming. You also oversee the S&P value ETF. That finally hit a new high recently. But is there any signs these traditional value sectors, the industrials, the energy, the materials, and maybe some of the financials, are they seeing any inflows at all? I know I'm going on to a different thing here, value over small caps, but any sign that's happening?
Okay, I'm just going to stop there to talk about these value stocks. I don't like whenever they say this, growth stocks and value stocks. As Warren Buffett says many times, where he said that growth and value are joined at the hip. Growth is a component of value. So this demarcation between value and growth, I don't really get that. If, say, after the dot-com bubble, when tech stocks crashed, do they become value stocks? You can't just say, oh, these industrials value stocks. It doesn't work like that. So it's a false labeling.
They are seeing positive flows. Now the question is out there: is it the value tilt or is it the cyclical investment and investor appetite for that? But definitely the numbers are there. We see positive momentum with value tilted strategies.
Dave, let me bring you here. What about this great rotation? Does it have legs? And what are you watching right now?
Yeah, so for the moment, I would get a little caught.
Okay, the great rotation. I did a video just yesterday. Go back and see that if you want to. I'll leave a link in the description to that about the great rotation again. So this is a theme that I'm coming back to. It's seemingly because it is the thing that's happening in the market at the moment. And I am pretty interested in it for obvious reasons.
Cautious about calling this a rotation because that implies that everybody's out there selling their QQQs and selling their SPY. That's not what's happening. What we're seeing is money that, I hate to use this phrase, but we have to say it's coming in off the sidelines, that is just buying. They are now, for the first time in ages, buying value, buying some of these defensive sectors, buying small caps, but they haven't stopped buying the other things as well. If you look at the amazing 5 days we've had, $50 billion in flows in 5 trading sessions, it has gone into things like equal weight and to things like small cap, but it's also gone into things like SPY, which has had $11 billion in flows in 5 days as well. So I think this is money coming in from that giant bucket of money markets that we know is sitting out there. And
so this implies not a rotation so much, but it's more of a broadening out. So the rising tide lifting all boats, just some more slowly because they've been rocketing. If you look at big tech and Nvidia, it's been rocketing. So will that slow down and we get a broadening out? That's the thesis that he's really talking about here, and it's based on the soft inflation print that came out not long ago. This happened straight after that, where the signal for interest rates going up perhaps in September. So is it a broadening out of the market rather than a rotation? So these value stocks and small and mid cap are getting a look in after it's been all about big mega cap and big tech, for quite a long time now, and it's their multiples have run up.
Well, that would be rotation.
It is rotation, but it's coming into the market, into these other sectors, these non-Mag 7 ways of playing the market. That's not the same as everybody selling off the Mag 7.
Yeah. I have 2 problems with this rotation trade, and maybe, Dave, you can comment at first. Traditionally, small cap rallies usually come off of economic bottoms and major market lows. And we have the opposite of that here. That's one problem. And it's not clear if this is just a playoff of lower interest rates and whether or not that's enough to sustain the rally. Finally, we have a seasonally difficult period coming out. In the middle of July through October, usually volatility usually rises and the market usually has a tough time. Does this make any sense? I'm trying to.
You can't generalize like that too. Usually, I mean, you can't predict these sort of things. It may do. Some are, people are in the market less. People are going on vacation, that kind of thing.
Figure out whether this is real legs here.
I think there is some legs in the diversification trade. I think that's really what we're seeing more than a full-throated small caps are going to dominate rally. I think what we're seeing is a diversification trade. We're seeing flows into everything, and that to me means people are looking to get a little bit broader in their exposure, which is smart in an election year.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, so broadening out, we got the gist there that rather than just a rotation and broadening, is that what's happening here? Possibly. Let's go to another clip here where we've got a small cap
just
manager
talking about it. Small cap stocks, one of the hottest trades in the market right now. The Russell 2000 index jumped 3.5% yesterday, hitting its highest levels since January of 2022. It's up more than 10% just in the last week, and that is the biggest rally we've seen over a 5-day period, going all the way back for about 4 years now. Joining us right now to talk more about it is Chris Retzler, Needham small cap growth fund portfolio manager. And Chris, what's the genesis? I mean, this is
so small cap growth, not small cap value.
Kind of a shift that we've been waiting for quite some time.
As a small cap manager, I've certainly been waiting for a few years here. We're getting.
By the way, if you're getting value out of this video so far, do remember to smash that like button to help the algorithm to spread it to more people, and do subscribe if you're new here as well.
To lower inflation, which is really positive for the expectation of lower interest rates. When that happens, I don't know, but I think what Powell's comments were a couple of months ago was his next move was down, not up. And I think that really was a signal that small caps should begin to work, and we've been able to see that since then. The move the last couple weeks has been very nice. Obviously, small caps are volatile. They don't go up forever. But I think longer term, we're in a cycle that's pretty good for a lot of.
They don't go up forever. So the Russell 2000. But if they're good small caps and they've got a long runway for growth, they can go up forever, whatever forever is. But, some large caps were once small caps. So, he's just talking about a cyclical kind of thing where small caps run for a while and then they don't, which we've seen. It's been a while. So, it is fascinating to see them have as Becky said, a run that hasn't happened for a long time.
A lot of those companies that have suffered have underperformed versus a lot of the large cap companies. So we're seeing a broadening of the market. I think that's good for the economy. I think it's good for the country that the small caps are beginning to see some attention.
So the small caps are up 12.8% over the last month. Fundstrat's Tom Lee says he thinks this is just the beginning. He said he thinks they could be up 40% over the next couple of months. You agree with that?
Okay, so I've done a video about that too. Tom Lee, he makes a lot of predictions, and they have him on this program. He makes some pretty outrageous predictions, and he's just been, because he's a perma bull, he's actually been right in this bull market. But I think it's not great to predict, and at some point he's going to be wrong. He was wrong in 2022 during that bear market because he's a perma bull. He's actually predicting 50% climb for small caps throughout this year. So he's talking about the rest of the year, and it didn't do much in the first half of the year. So he's still predicting that 50%, and he's starting to be right on that one because of this rotational broadening out. And I have to say, I don't like him predicting, but I'd be pretty happy to see. I'd be pretty happy to see that.
It's certainly possible. Small caps are very liquid, and as money flows in there out of the large caps as it comes out, it doesn't take a lot of money to push those stock prices higher, get multiple expansion in an expectation of lower interest rates, say, over the next 12 months. I think that's very good for the companies. Lower cost of capital that has weighed on companies. They've been able to fix a lot of their inventory issues post-COVID, and that took a longer time because the economy was slowing. I think the economy is still going to continue to slow, but I think we're getting to that, a horizon where it should be a better environment for small caps. And obviously the market price is 6-9 months out, and I think we're beginning to see that.
Okay, so he talks about leverage there, about interest rates going down, so these companies can get cheaper capital. I mean, that's part of it, that, broadening out to small caps and mid caps. and value getting a run too. So definitely we're seeing a broadening out so far. It has been not very long, so can it be sustained? That's the question I can't predict. I'm not going to predict that. And also this is not investment advice. I'm not suggesting that you put money into the Russell 2000. It's up to you to research, do the research, get a financial advisor and that sort of thing. This is just entertainment and general education purposes, and I do find this entertaining, especially, well, it's good. It's good for me in particular because I do have that small caps that I've been researching and buying for quite a long time, and not just spraying and praying here. All right. So if you want, I'm going to put a link on the screen to what YouTube thinks that you should watch next if you're watching this on YouTube. So go and see that now if you want to. And also subscribe. I'm going to put a subscribe link on the screen if you're not subscribed yet. And there'll be more on this in the future. Definitely come back to this because, as I said, I'm keen on small and mid cap. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.